Hi, I'm Azadeh, and my friends have asked me to answer a bunch of questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. I'm going to do my best to answer them. It's not something I've really wanted to do, but I have Lyme disease. I have late-stage Lyme disease and neurological Lyme disease, and I also have the co-infection Babesia. I have a string of autoimmune diseases, which is Lupus, Polymyositis, and Sjogren's. I've had a form of constant pneumonia since they don't know when, and my friends put up a fundraiser page about 2 years ago. I wasn't very comfortable with it. They'd asked me a year prior to that, and I said no, and then I agreed to it 2 years, about 2 years ago, and they put that page up, so now we're becoming current, and so that's why they've asked me to answer some of these questions. I'm going to do my best to answer them. My mind is not working very well lately. Unfortunately, Lyme disease does ravage your brain. It is an infection that has gotten to my brain, so I hope that this makes sense, what I'm about to say. So my old doctor, I became symptomatic when I was 11 years old, so I've been sick for a very long time. They didn't know I was sick. I had my first seizure when I was 11 for no reason. And then about a few weeks later, I got burning in my arms and legs, and the doctor said that I was having an arthritic reaction. My symptoms waxed and waned, and my upbringing was very confusing and a bit tumultuous, so it was hard to tell then how physically sick I was. And after that, there were certain choices I made that made it harder to get to my diagnoses. About 7 years ago, I had a spinal surgery. I had a double fusion, C3 through 5, which is what this beautiful scar here is. I really was against having that surgery, and I did all means that I could, which was Eastern medicine and herbs and acupuncture, and it didn't work, and I had to have the surgery, and they did a double fusion, and a few months later they realized my body was rejecting the donated cadaver bones, and they had to go back in, and I had to have a second spine surgery. And right before that, I got really, really sick, and I knew there was something else that was going on. I started getting a string of diagnoses, which I didn't agree with. For example, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. I also got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I just felt intuitively that that was not my problem. And I was told if I did not start treatment for rheumatoid arthritis, that I would be in a wheelchair within a year. And I didn't start treatment because I didn't feel that was my problem. And also then my brain worked better, so I was able to research, and I was able to know that the reasons why I didn't have rheumatoid arthritis. I did find a doctor who finally diagnosed me. I saw him a year. He didn't think anything a year prior to when I finally saw him again, where he diagnosed me, and I got diagnosed with Sjogren's, then later polymyositis, and his assistant is the one that found the polymyositis and the lupus. I got treatment, which is called IVIG, which is a gamma-globulin. It's 1,000 people's plasma. It's an 8-hour infusion. I got treated for that for a year, and then a year later I started getting worse, and my neurological symptoms started getting a lot worse. I got very sound sensitive and light sensitive. I got high levels of anxiety, and not just anxiety like, oh, I can't figure out what cereal to buy, or not. It was beyond that. It was complete and utter madness, and I had a lot of agoraphobia and a lot of symptoms that were being caused because my frontal lobe there was a lot of pressure on my frontal lobe, and it was inflamed, and therefore was causing all these symptoms that were coming out in psychiatric ways. And thankfully I had a really good few friends, a woman and a man, and that just knew me really well, and just kept telling me, this is physical, Azadeh, it's not psychiatric. And my doctor finally asked me if I'd ever been bitten by a tick, and I said, I don't remember that I've ever been bitten by a tick. And I did remember getting a bruise that was by my knee that had ringlets around it, and I did say that to him, but I knew nothing about Lyme disease, and he said he was going to treat me for Lyme disease. He was going to test me for Lyme disease, and I said, you mean you already haven't? And he hadn't. And I went home and I looked up Lyme disease, and that bullseye rash, which I didn't know was called a bullseye rash, is what Lyme disease was. And it's not common. CDC says it's like 90% of people or 80% of people get the bullseye, and that's not true. Only a very small percentage of people get the bullseye, so in a way I was very lucky to have even remembered that. Anyway, the test came back, and not only did I have Lyme disease, I had the most dangerous co-infection, which was Babesia. And that's what was hitting my brain and depleting me of oxygen. So they started treating the Babesia, and I was under 3 separate protocols for lupus, which was the IVIG and polymyositis, and then the Babesia, which was a really hard protocol, and then Lyme disease. And I wasn't getting better, and it's because I didn't really have the means. They wanted to treat me in certain ways, and I didn't have the financial means to be able to do that. And I couldn't work because I was too sick, and sick in a way where I had debilitating fatigue, and not kind of like I'm tired and I'm lazy, but it was debilitating fatigue in which my will couldn't get me out of bed any longer. And I had pain that was all over my body, especially everywhere. Like, I couldn't escape it, and I still can't, under my fingernails. So there was no way I could work. And I'm one that actually loves working, and I've always worked, and I'm a hard worker, and it's something that I definitely do miss. Around then is when my friend started the fundraiser, and that fundraiser actually helped me a lot and helped me get better and helped me get the treatment I needed, and I started to see reprieve. With Lyme disease, it's a lot like, and a lot of people in the community know this, and people that have had cancer and then have had Lyme disease say this too. The protocol is very much the same as a cancer patient. You will get worse before you get better. You get very sick before you get better, and I got very sick, and then I slowly started to get better, and I stopped the antibiotics because I thought I was good, and it turned out that that was not a good idea, and my Lyme wasn't eradicated, and there is no cure for Lyme disease, but I didn't have treatment long enough, and we went back in, we started treatment, then we stopped again, and I'm going to fast forward to about 5 months ago. I caught a staph infection. I've had 2 ports, one on the left side and one on the right side. I got my 3rd port actually today. So my 2nd port gave me a staph infection, which hit my bloodstream, and right before my staph infection, my gallbladder got compromised. So I got my gallbladder compromised, then a staph infection. They were worried about my heart. I had a heart procedure. And then on February 25th, last month, I went to the hospital, and I was diagnosed with meningitis, and I had viral meningitis. I was there for 6 days, and I haven't been the same. I definitely haven't been the same. I feel like I went in one person and came out another. And I've progressively been getting worse. I no longer have my old doctor. I'm not going to get into that for many of reasons. I don't believe there's a need to go into that. Our time with each other is obviously, it was in both of our interests not to see each other any longer. And I did a lot of foot work. I was getting sick very quickly, and I did a lot from my bed. And I got in touch with the California Association of Lyme Disease, and I got a list of doctors, and I started speaking to all of them, and I found a local doctor who is very good. He's well-versed in Lyme. He goes to all the conferences of Lyme. He's been treating Lyme for a very long time. Unfortunately, he has 2 daughters who have Lyme disease, but that makes him very knowledgeable, and he has first-hand experience of what it has done and how it has ravished his children as well. Lyme disease also is strange because the patient, like myself, will look healthy on the outside, but it's ravishing us in the inside. And it's a lot like AIDS, the way it acts in the body. It's actually 7 times bigger than AIDS. It is an epidemic. The CDC says it's not, and I'm not going to get into that too much, but all I can tell you is ticks do not need passports. Therefore, they are everywhere, including our backyards. My doctor is a great doctor. The prognosis does not look good. My immune system has started shutting down. I am considered late-stage Lyme with Neurological. My voice will be lost. My body doesn't do things that I tell it to. I'm in horrific pain. I'm confined to a bed and confined to this room, and Lyme definitely has taken a lot from me and changed me. And when they put up the website 2 years ago, they had asked me some questions, and those questions still exist. Those answers are still there, which I've learned. I've been given lots of gifts, and I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about the world, and I see the world very differently, and there's much that I've learned that I'm thankful for, and many gifts that I've been given that I don't know if I would have seen if I hadn't been this sick. But my number one goal is to get better and to help other women and men and children that are being misdiagnosed or aren't being diagnosed at all and are in psychiatric wards wondering if they're losing their minds. I know when I got sick, I knew a few women that had lupus and they weren't able to help me, and most probably because they were very sick. And since I've been sick, I've always been able to pick up the phone. If I do anything, is to help another person that's suffering, because I know how it is to feel like you're losing your mind when it's a physical malady. And so my goal still is to get better and to help anyone. I have helped a few people get diagnosed early, so they're not as late stage as I am. And it's still my goal. I believe it's why I'm here. Not why I'm here, but this is what I've been given, and this is what I want to do with. But yes, I hope I've answered all your questions they've asked me. But the main thing I guess I'm supposed to reiterate is that I am progressively getting worse. The doctor did say that. And there's not much I can do except fight. And I did say I have a fight in me, and he said he's going to do his best, and I'm going to be on the top hardcore antibiotics and for last resort patients. And Lyme is just extremely unforgiving and relentless, and it kills daily. And there's a high, it kills daily, and unfortunately it's not seen as Lyme disease. They put it down as MS or ALS or a stroke or a heart attack or organ failure, and these are Lyme disease patients that are dying daily. And also, it's a huge epidemic. It's 7 times bigger than AIDS. And so, yes, I'm not doing well, and I do believe the protocols before helped me. I believe this doctor is going to definitely help me. He's very innovative. He's very knowledgeable. He's very caring, understanding. He listens. He believes the patient does know their body. And so we're going to go in hardcore, and I'm hopefully I know I'm going to fight as hard as I can, and hopefully going to come out the other end being able to help all of the others that are wondering what is wrong with them and if they are losing their minds. So I hope that's answered your questions. Thank you again for everyone who supported me in all ways that you have supported me. And thank you for all my friends who have never needed an explanation and never given me a hard time for my ailments and understood me so well. And just thank you for all of you. And I hope that's answered all the questions that have needed to be answered. I think the rest will be written down with my friends. Thank you. Bye.